G'day guys, how are you going? Today we are reviewing the 2020 Mercedes CLS 350, a car that is described by Mercedes as being a coupe because they can. In this review, we're going to start by talking about the looks of this car, and then we're going to jump into the interior, which is what this car is almost all about. Then we're going to see how it drives, and finally we're going to end on, is it worth buying the CLS 350 or just any CLS? Now, before we get into the review, make sure you go down and subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell as well. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and it means that I can keep reviewing these really cool cars and share it with you guys. But anyway, on to how it looks. So the front of the new CLS is reminiscent of an angry masculine shark with its huge grille, which, to be fair, every car at the moment is putting on a huge grille, but this one looks especially nice, and it's flanked by these big headlights which are really bright, so bright in fact they are the brightest that can legally be fit to any car. Overall, it brings both a limousine and sporty type look and presence to the road, and I really like the front of the new CLS. The rear of the new CLS has a very simple yet elegant look and is honestly what you would think when you think of a Russian mafia mobster car. One thing I really like about the rear of the CLS is the fact that the taillights are completely flush with the body panel, and that gives it a really cool, simple look as if it's crafted out of a single piece. This is the first time in one of my reviews I can say that the side of the car is actually the best view, and there's a reason for that. This car is 5 meters long and 1.5 meters tall, and what that means is you get this really limousine length and look, but you also get a really sporty look, and I suppose that's why Mercedes have gone ahead and called this a coupe, even though it's not, because it does have that sloping roofline. Something else that makes it a coupe are these frameless windows, and it's not just the front, it's also the back, and so because of that they can give that coupe look. Now, it does have 20-inch wheels as well, which you can spec to other looks, but I actually really like it. I like the turbine effect that the wheels have. Overall, I really believe that this side view is the best angle of the 2020 CLS. I think overall, to me, this car just reminds me of Russian mafia, and I really, really like the look of the new CLS. But let me know what you guys think in the comment below. I know some of you won't like it because it does break away from, I suppose, what a traditional car should look like, and also its coupe looks, but I'd really like to know what your guys' opinions are down there. Now let's go take the car for a drive, but before we do, make sure you go down there and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. On with the drive. Let's start by talking about the interior. Now, everything inside of here is so high quality. It is actually quite amazing. Every surface you touch is either soft or really, really high quality. I don't know how they can pull it off, considering that parts of this car is definitely plastic, but you don't notice it. It just feels that good inside of here, and they've done just an amazing job. And it's quite interesting because they've replicated this interior across a lot of their cars, including the E-Class. It's pretty much got an identical layout, but everything inside of here, from the wood to the leather to the plastics, is just, it feels as good as you can get. The infotainment screens in the CLS is the best in the business. It's not the latest MBUX Mercedes infotainment screens, but it is one of the latest, so you do miss out on touchscreen and augmented reality navigation, but neither of those things are necessary at all. You can use the scroll wheel very, very easily to control the screen, or you use the steering wheel, and you can get anything you want onto either of the screens. They are so customizable. They are the best in the business by far. And one of the best features of this infotainment screen is you can display Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which you can't in, for instance, a BMW, because BMW will charge you for a subscription for Apple CarPlay, and I don't believe they even have Android Auto. The CLS also gets a Burmester sound system as standard here in Australia, but if you're in an overseas market and it's not a standard, option it up. It is definitely worth it. For all my subscribers out there, you know how much I care about a good steering wheel, and you should definitely go down there now and subscribe to the channel. So what makes this steering wheel so good? Well, it's pulled out of an S-Class, and because of that you get this super meaty, sporty feeling steering wheel that is also feels so luxury. The buttons on it, they're metal. The construction, fully leather. It is just such a nice, beautiful steering wheel to hold onto and grip. It is a bit on the thicker side, but there are points where it just narrows down in the center and you can hold onto it very easily and drive. But if you want to be a bit more sporty, grab up top at the 10 and 2 positions and you've got this big meaty steering wheel. It is amazing and functional. You can control everything from the steering wheel, all the infotainments. Pretty much you don't need to take your hand off the steering wheel. So it is a great design, and honestly, it makes you feel like you're $1 million. You're not a pleb, you're a Mercedes owner. And I like that. The seats are probably the only thing in this interior that need a bit of improvement. They're just too sporty, too buckety for this car. The quality of them is great, and actually sitting in them is quite comfortable. What ruins them are these huge, meaty side bolsters. They are way too much for the CLS. This car is not at all pretending to be a sports car anywhere other than these seats. These seats should really be swapped out with what's in the E-Class currently. Much more comfortable seats in that car, and they're not trying to be too sporty while still being kind of sporty. I've also got to mention the interior lighting of this car. It is again one of the best in the industry. You can very easily change the color scheme, and also you can play around with the temperature control and it will change colors depending on if you put the temperature up or down. It is amazing in this car, and it really does add to the entire luxury of it. Now, the rear seats are actually quite comfortable as well. Some reviewers have complained that there isn't much headroom, sometimes there isn't much leg room. I can sit behind myself absolutely fine. I'm 6 foot on the dot, sitting back there, perfectly comfortable for me. Plenty of leg room, just enough headroom anyway. I would be comfortable on longer journeys. And the quality of the materials back there are incredible as well, very much in keeping with the entirety of the car. Beautiful leather, beautiful metal and wood materials back there. It feels very premium. You can fit 3 people in the back. It will be a little bit squishy, but it is doable. And the boot itself, this is a mafia machine. You could fit at least 14 bodies back there without any issues. It is huge and it's great. It means you can fit a whole bunch of things into this car, and you can also put down the rear seat so you can get even more loading. Any IKEA trip you do in this car, you'll be fine. So in this CLS, we have an inline 4-cylinder turbocharged unit putting out 220 kilowatts of power and 400 Newton meters of torque. That's all sent through a 9-speed automatic transmission to the rear wheels. And it's pretty good. Awesome. Its 0 to 62 is around about 5.8 seconds, which for a rear-wheel drive 4-cylinder huge sedan, that's pretty good. You'll actually find this engine with a slightly different tuning in the AMG A35. And honestly, it's not a bad engine at all. If you step up, you can get a twin-turboed V6, which is very powerful and does 0 to 60 in the low 5 seconds. But this 4-cylinder, let me tell you, is plenty of fun. Now, all Australian models of the CLS get air suspension as standard, but if you're in a foreign market where they don't have air suspension, make sure you spec it. It makes this car so comfortable in any situation. If you want dynamic driving, absolutely put the car in Sport Plus mode. The car lowers itself, stiffens up the suspension, and all of a sudden you have a really sporty car. Just want to cruise along over bumps and potholes, absolutely put the car in comfort and you're there. It's like driving a cloud. That's the only way I can describe it. It feels so good and so relaxing to drive it. It makes you realize that this is absolutely a luxury car. If I had to have one gripe, it's that the CLS, it likes to hang around the 2,000 to 3,000 RPM even when you're cruising along. And I don't really know why that's the case. It has a 9-speed automatic transmission. I'm sure it could coast along at 1,500 revs. And that can sometimes feel a little bit awkward because most other cars will very happily coast along just under 2,000 RPM, yet this car seems to like to hang around that 2,000 to 3,000 RPM, which is a bit weird, especially in comfort mode. The CLS 350 is one of those cars where you'll be so happy if you get this car, and you'd be just as happy if you got the 450 with more power. I really like the way that this 4-cylinder performs. Obviously a 6-cylinder would be even more fun, but it's not something that I wish I was driving. I'm really happy with the responsiveness and the power that comes with this 4-cylinder. And the way it handles as well, especially being a 5-meter long car, this is a very long car, is really great. Turning corners feels quite stable, not much body roll, nothing like that. And I think that that is a true testament to Mercedes engineering. This is a big car, but it feels quite nimble and really quite small. So should you buy the CLS 350? I think absolutely you should buy the CLS 350. It is an amazing car that comes with a lot as standard. This 4-cylinder engine, which is shared with, as I said, the AMG A35, is very responsive when you put it in Sport Plus mode. It feels great to drive. When you couple that with the fact it has air suspension as standard here in Australia, a 9-speed automatic transmission, beautiful build quality on the interior of this car, there really aren't that many options to it. This car is actually quite good value if you're looking for a luxury coupé looking sedan. And that's it, the 2020 Mercedes CLS. It's a car that is not cheap at all, but it is definitely good value considering everything that you get, considering the styling, considering the pretty awesome little 4-cylinder engine in there that still puts out plenty of power. Overall, as I said, if you can afford it, absolutely go for the new CLS. Now make sure you guys go down there, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, press that like button as well so we can share this video with as many people as possible. And if you know someone that wants the new CLS or should watch this video, make sure you let them know. Otherwise, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.